We are the New York Knicks. We are the New York Knicks. We are the New York Knicks. Say go New York, go New York, go. Go New York.
FND, FND, go.
Go New York, go New York, go.
F-Pally, F-Pally, go.
Like that. Look who's back in the mix. Straight out of New York City. It's the red hot Knicks. And nothing's gonna stop us from
The Knicks are red hot right now. The Knicks, Rangers, everything involving Madison Square Garden. Hot. Hot like summer. Hotter than it is outside. Doing great. Oh, God. Vin's in the background. Joe Yoke here. Another live stream. Mitch Robinson. Vin, your boy, Mitch, the Blockness Monster. The curse of Joel Embiid and his lazy eye still rings true for BKE and the Knicks as a whole. We can't get rid of the guy. This man is now out 6 to 8 weeks, a.k.a. the rest of the postseason, barring a miracle of the finals starting like January 3rd or 5th and the Knicks playing in Game 7, at which point I don't think Mitch Robinson would make his first game back be Game 7. So Mitch is out for the year, and this is sad AF. I don't understand. I can't believe it. We got a stress fracture. I don't have a stress fracture. Mitch has a stress fracture. We could have seen this coming. This man gets hurt all the time, unfortunately. It is so sad. He's the longest tenured Knick. I want Mitch available. I want him available. Last game, he only played 12 minutes. Scored 2 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. He got 3 fouls in 12 minutes, which that sounds very much like rookie year, Mitch.
Mike away from your mouth a little, buddy.
I want to scream. You just have to turn my volume down. I got it. How about that? Is that better?
Much better.
Okay. I just turned it down on the thing. The quality of a gaming microphone is that you have a microphone toggle on the side. So I got to remember to not have it all the way up. I always do that. And then I talk 5 times as loud as Loopy. So there you go. But yeah, Mitch is out for the year. I think, and I know this has already been said, but for this matchup particularly against the Pacers, I don't think it's a bad thing that we're going to see more Precious Achiuwa. The Pacers don't really have any attacking guys that attack the paint that well. Miles Turner is just as likely to take a 3 as he is to try to bang inside. Maybe even more likely to take a 3. Last game, he literally had 6 attempts from deep, 4 or 5 from the mid-range, and 4 or 5 from inside the paint. So, pretty even split. Drew 3 fouls, which I'm pretty sure 2 of them were on Mitch. So yeah, I don't mind Achiuwa being in this. Straight up. The Knicks can go 5 out now for all intents and purposes. I know Achiuwa is not going to take more than 2 threes in a game, even if he played 40 minutes. But just the threat is marginally there. Brunson, Devo, Hart, OG, and Precious, you can switch. You can almost switch 3 of those 5 guys in either direction. You can switch 2 through 4. You can switch 1 through 3. You can switch 3 through 5. So I really like seeing that. I don't mind that at all. The Pacers don't really even play a backup 5. Isaiah Jackson, who I can't even believe played as well as he did the first game, he's 6'9". Toppin, as we all know, is 6'9". Turner's the only one that's like 6'10 and a half, 6'11". But again, he's shooting 3s. So I'm cool with this. Also, say OG and Precious get switches on each other. That means Precious is on Siakam. And OG did a decent job last game. I know, what's his name? Ben from Knicks Film School just posted that Siakam shot 5 to 7 on Twitter against OG last game. But Siakam didn't even score 20 points for a team that they definitely need this dude to score a lot. If you're only getting up 7 shots against your primary defender in 36 minutes, that means while he didn't stop you from making all those baskets, he stopped you from putting the shots up in the first place, which is just as good. I'm going to take that. And I think Precious can do the same thing. Honestly, I'm not sad. I'm sad for Mitch. I am really sad for Mitch. The guy deserves to be available to the end of the season. And we just can't get that from him. As sad as that is. You can't stay healthy and you can't make free throws. And he's one of the most beloved Knicks and the longest tenured Knick that we've had so far. Vin, I know you're in the background, but I know Mitch is your boy. Mitch, even more so than Drake. So how are you feeling?
Oh, everything's going to be all right, Joe.
Every little thing.
Big positive energy.
Dude, the Knicks are still going to win this series. I'm not worried at all. I want to talk about game 1 a little bit before I kind of try to preview game 2. So I at first only got to watch the fourth quarter live. I had to rewatch the game, but I had to rewatch the first three quarters because I was at work, and then I got out of work and the fourth quarter was on. Kareem, salute, JJ McDoodle. What up? How's it going? So I had to rewatch that. But for the fourth quarter, I tweeted this at one point. I was like, I've only been watching this game 15 minutes, but I know that all Reddit, Twitter, threads, whatever, is any Pacers fans that exist on there, and compared to Knicks fans, it's maybe 10% of the fan base. They were going to complain a lot about the refereeing. And I only knew that from watching the fourth quarter alone. I didn't have to watch the rest of the game to really figure that out. Also, generally speaking, the fourth quarter is when the most important of calls are made, obviously. The kickball that wasn't a kickball that sucked. The kickball that wasn't a kickball that sucked, straight up. I feel bad for them, honestly. But they called it. Apparently, you can't review a kickball, so that's kind of stupid in and of itself. On initial watch, though, it did look like it would have been a kickball because Naismith didn't have his hands up like you would expect, like at least out sideways. He had his hand hiding behind his leg from the camera. Obviously, there's a ref on both sides of him, so one of them should have noticed that wasn't his leg. But at least from the TV camera angle, it did seem like it would have been a kickball based on that. Ralph, how's my audio now? Is it better? I turned it down a little bit more. Hopefully it sounds a little bit better than it did. But you can't review that apparently, which I'm pretty sure we all found out in real time that you can't review a kickball, so that does suck for them. The moving screen, I literally said out loud, and I'm a Knicks fan, as you're aware. Everyone watching is probably a Knicks fan right now. I literally said, you can't call that in this spot. You can't call a moving screen with the game on the line and 11 seconds left. Especially, it wasn't even like a Bam Adebayo moving screen. It wasn't like an old school Tyler Hansborough moving screen. His legs are too wide for his shoulders or anything. It was like a borderline call from his shoulders to his toes to moving or not moving. I can't believe it. But again, the same as game 2 against the Sixers. And then the same as game 5 against the Sixers in the wrong direction. You still got to make shots. You still got to make the game-winning plays. And Dante DiVincenzo hit that clutch 3. Jalen Brunson has the second most clutch points. If you were to rank him among teams in the playoffs, he's far and away number 1 for individual players for clutch points. For anyone that doesn't know or remember, a clutch game scenario is a game within 5 points and there's less than 5 minutes left in the game. He has the most clutch points per player, and if he was his own individual team, he would be second in the league. And Tyrese Halliburton scored 6 points in the game on 6 shots. Made 2 of 5 from 3, 0 for 1 from the field. Did the Knicks shoot like 8 or 9 more free throws than the Pacers? Yes. Do the Pacers attack the paint nearly as much? No. For all of the space and pace they do, for all the transition, for all the fast-paced Pacer attacking, they don't really drive into contact that much. They want to just get out and get open layups and threes and free throws and dunks. They want to have Obi Toppin do an East Bay dunk in the middle of the fourth quarter of a really close game and then give up an open shot at the other end because not everyone's back because they're too busy celebrating. The difference between the Indiana Pacers and the Minnesota Timberwolves right now, not only in skill set, but in where they are mentally and mentality-wise, is that Naz Reid, and shout out to the Athletic podcast for calling this out because I've only watched like half the Wolves game, so I probably missed this part, but they didn't even mention the comparison in general, just they mentioned the Wolves thing, so I'm going to compare the two. Naz Reid banged a 3 in the third quarter. Yeah, the third quarter of the Wolves-Nuggets game. The game that the Wolves just blew out the Nuggets in game 2. Jamal Murray throws the ice pack on the heating pack on the court. Gets a $100,000 fine, not suspended. Same as Joel Embiid last round, didn't get suspended because you can't be down 0-2 in the NBA needs your money if you're a great player, and they need people to watch. They're not going to suspend Jamal Murray. But Naz Reid bangs a 3. And they're up 30. He doesn't celebrate at all. He immediately goes to check Jokic full court. Jaden McDaniels doesn't celebrate, or Nickeil Alexander-Walker doesn't celebrate at all that Nasri just made a three to go up 30 in Denver. He immediately goes to check Jamal Murray full court. The Pacers, and what was that, a 5-point game after the dunk? A 6-point game or something like that? Obi Toppin does an East Bay dunk in the middle of the fourth quarter. Celebrates, gives up an open shot the other end. Like, what are you doing? Shout out to JJ McDougal, by the way. He said he was lit at the game, so that's exciting. I wish I was there. That's awesome. Travel Vibes, what up? Thanks for the great content. My trip back home from work. Hey, man, that's why I'm trying to time everything right. Got this big game tonight, 8 p.m. I got to work overnight, which Ralph's going to be there too. I'm pretty sure we both got work at 10 p.m., so shout out to us. Going to be a long one. I'm going to have to take a nap after this, guys. Let me tell you. Ace Enterprises, Knicks in 5. Let's go. Henry goes, Timberwolves are the best team in the league right now. That's the mentality, though. So it's like one team bangs a three up 30 and immediately plays defense. The other team is up 6 after a cool dunk, celebrates and gives up an open shot for the team to go down 3 or 4. You can't do that. And I'm pretty sure both Rick Carlisle and Tom Thibodeau had the same exact reaction to OB doing that, just in very opposite scenarios, obviously. Tibbs watched that happen and was like, I remember when he used to do that, the leaking out, not rebounding, which for Toppin's worth, great first game. 12 points, 5 of 7 from the field, a +4 in a game they lost by 4. Did his job. And I'm going to get to TJ McConnell in a little bit too, because he even did a better job than Obi. But Tibbs is like, you don't understand the moment, man, if you're doing that. And Rick Carlisle's probably like, I can't believe you just celebrated after that. Get back. Get the F back, man. This is a close game. This isn't the dunk contest. So, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't have done that. I didn't think it was a smart move, but Toppin won his minutes, and they were up when it happened. So how much can you really complain about the guy, right? TJ McConnell is going to help Deuce McBride and his future so much for Deuce having to play TJ in this series. And as a Deuce stan, I'm all for it. It's going to suck to watch. He's going to get burnt up a few more times that already happened in game 1. And he's going to get more minutes now because we're down to 7. I'm going to get into the way I think the rotation will be in a little bit, but I don't see it going too far beyond 7, but maybe. But TJ McConnell had 18 points, 9 of 16 from the field, just made 9 2-pointers. No threes, didn't even attempt a free throw. 3 assists, 1 rebound, 3 steals, which also big. I think outside of Pacers fans trying to complain about refereeing, outside of Jalen Brunson being the most clutch player in the NBA, which, shout out Jalen Brunson, by the way. This man's a New York legend, a hero at this point. Whether you think he's the best player in the league or the second best player in the league in these playoffs, him or Anthony Edwards, I do know one thing, he's been the best in the fourth quarter by far, bar none. Better than Ant-Man, better than Jokic, better than Tatum, better than SGA, better than Luka or Kyrie. Just the best dude in the fourth quarter, bar none. But I can't believe that Carlisle, after watching Halliburton play the whole game and seeing that he's not a fake all-star. Tyrese Halliburton at his peak is amazing. We all saw that. There was legitimate reasons why people were arguing earlier in the season. Not Tyrese versus Brunson, but is Tyrese Halliburton the best point guard in the NBA? Gets the hamstring injury. Hasn't played the same since. His points per game went down like 7 points from before the injury to afterwards. And now he has back spasms. He has a back problem. But this dude had 6 points on 2 of 6 shooting, 8 assists, 3 turnovers. That's a terrible assist to turnover ratio for your starting all-star point guard. 4 steals, no fouls. And to me, no fouls on his end means that those steals meant he was gambling. And you can see it in the game. He's gambling. He's not trying to actually play defense, not nearly as well. If you're a starting NBA player and you're playing over 30 minutes a game and you had no fouls, I'm assuming you didn't try as hard as you could on the defensive end. And TJ McConnell outplayed him this game. Straight up. I think Carlisle's biggest mistake was not having McConnell close the game, especially in a close game that Tyrese isn't really giving you much. He had 2 of the 3 turnovers were in the last 4 minutes, like in clutch time, where we're all watching Jalen Brunson go off. Be the man. The dude that puts the team and the whole city on his back, the guy that makes the Empire State Building turn blue and orange after all these Knicks wins, is putting up 20 points. What was it, 18, 20, 22? I can't remember. 20 points in the fourth quarter, and this dude gives you 0 fourth quarter points, 1 or 2 assists, and 2 turnovers in clutch time. And you literally had maybe the second or third best player playing in the game, his backup sitting on the bench. That's poor roster. That's just a poor roster move. That's just a poor lineup decision on Carlisle's part. Has nothing to do with the refs. Has nothing to do with making or missing shots. That is a coaching error. And I don't know if he'll actually make it again. Maybe because Tyrese is their all-star supermax point guard. And, some guys just go with the sinking ship, as we've seen Tibbs do over and over again. When we had Obi Toppin, for the few times, I literally used to say, I'm not an Obi guy, but if there's an 82-game season, if there's like 7 or 8 games out of those 82 that Toppin closed over Randle because Randle didn't have it going, I think it would make sense. Did he ever do that? No. Is Carlisle the type of guy that would do that? I don't know. TJ McConnell's 32 years old. He's been in the league 9 or 10 years. He's more likely to give his coach a reason to do that and be trustworthy, but I don't know if he does it. Get some of these comments. JJ McDoodle says, I hate TJ with a passion. He was being such a little pest. He always is, man. I don't know. TJ loves playing the Knicks. I'm pretty sure he does the same thing to both the LA teams. Maybe TJ McConnell is just like one of those dudes that like gets up for big city games. And he's never really been a starter, and not for years anyway. So Henry goes, who else on the Knicks roster can contribute? I don't know if any of the bench guys at all. I'm going to get back to that because the last comment actually has to do with it. Henry again, Patrick Beverley was right about Halliburton. One thing I will defend Halliburton on outside of the injury is that he's 24 years old. Like Brunson's 27 right now, 28. I always forget this dude's birthday. I should remember. I do this all the time. He turns 28 on August 31st. So he's literally, I say this all the time when we're doing this. 27 to 32 is the prime, is your actual prime. Brunson is at the beginning of his prime of his career. Tyrese Halliburton's still 3 to 4 years away. So I'm not going to assume that he's going to be a showman shark artist that plays like the Harlem Globetrotters unless like a NBA champion one day. But at least temporarily and at least for now, this dude is not showing up when his team needs it. In the 5 games he played against, or the 6 games he played against Milwaukee, he scored over 20 once. Granted, they won the series 4-2, but he scored over 20 once, and he had a 16 assist game, a 10 assist game, a 12 assist game. But he had a couple low ones too, so I don't know. I don't know. Vinny, Knicks in 4. My pick at the beginning of the series was Knicks in 6. You're supposed to win your home games. I think it could go very similarly as the last series, so I don't know. I would still pick Knicks in 6. If they win tonight, I might switch it to 5, but they won the first 2 against Philly at home like they were supposed to, and then lost 3 and lost 5. So I'm going to stick with Knicks in 6 based on this. Although my Nuggets in 6, looking pretty dead. I'm not going to lie. Everything else looking all right for this series, but my Nuggets Celtics ticket, the betting tick I have, and my Nuggets in 6 pick, we're going down. I'm going to go sinking with the ship like Tom Thibodeau or Rick Carlisle with my All-Stars. Tyson, what up, man? Shout out. I just answered that one, Vin. Tyson goes, is it time to free Burks and Shake? So I don't think both would play. I want to get that first and foremost. Unless there's 2 injuries, I don't see both of them getting minutes because they seem they're very overlapping in skill set, size, and they both play somewhere between the 1 and the 3, mostly the 2. You don't really want either one of them being your point guard. Shake has a little better point guard skills. Burks is a better shooter when he has it going. Neither one of them are good at defense. But to the actual point is it time to free them? I think the only, outside of the 7 now that we have, right? No Mitch. So you're just going to put Precious in for Mitch, 1-for-1 swap. The starting 5, so the 3 Villanova boys, OG, iHeart, Deuce and Precious as 6 and 7. I think if they were to go 8, the most likely person is actually Sims. And that would be that would be based on foul trouble more than anything. Because for Precious, I don't think iHeart can play 35 minutes back-to-back games. All these games are every other night. I don't think they have. When do they get 2 days off in the series? Game 5 or some crap, right? 6, 8, 10, 12. So between game 5 and 6 is the only 2-day off break. Everything is every other day. So I don't see iHeart playing more than 33 a game. Again, I know he played 36 game 1, but that's because Precious wasn't able to game plan, assuming he was going to get as many minutes as he did because of the Mitch injury. I'm assuming that's going to be more of an even split again. But when Precious was playing earlier in the year, when we missed iHeart a couple of those games for the Achilles tendinopathy and the injury management, Mitch was out still. Mitch missed like 3 months, or 4 months, January to April, as we all know. Precious was getting some 40-minute games going. If I can just scroll through and find his game log real quick. Let's go back. What was it? February? Yeah, so January 30th to February 14th, he played 40, 43, 42, 40, 41, 43, 38, 43, 38. That was all. Ben, I don't run the Twitter. I've already told you that 100 times. I will unblock you from my personal. That was all while they were hurt. Precious Achiuwa isn't built like a 7-foot center. He's not like a 7'1" guy. He's not a 7-foot guy. This guy is like 6'8.5" with like a 7'1" wingspan. Him and OG Anunoby are like an inch apart from each other. I think that's why part of the reason is that he can actually withstand 40-minute games. He's built more like a tall wing that can't shoot threes. That's really why he's not a 3 or a 4, is his lack of shooting ability more than anything. He's extremely switchable on defense. Like I said, he could cover 3 through 5. If he gets gets switched, oh my bad, he gets switched onto like Halliburton or McConnell. I'm not really worried about anyone else with the ball in their hands. Naismith, no. Nembhard, no. Ben Shepherd, no. Like, they don't have Ben Mathurin. That'd be the other dude to be scared of, but he's out for the playoffs. So if he gets switched on Halliburton or McConnell, I'm not like scared of Precious being burnt in that matchup. Not more so than anyone else, you know? I'm cool with Precious getting the majority of the backup minutes. And if he could spell OG a little bit, like a tiny bit, I know they don't want to play Precious the 4 because of lack of spacing. I get that. But if Precious can help spell the combination of Hart, OG, iHeart a little bit, get Precious 20, 25 minutes. If Deuce can spell the first 4 combo somehow between Brunson all the way down to OG 1 through 4, like just by switching in and out interchangeably for 20, 25 minutes, you don't really need to go beyond 7 deep. So I would only assume it's Sims with foul trouble, not in general. And that'd be foul trouble to both iHeart and Precious. And I just really doubt we see Burks. It would be Burks then Shake, just knowing Tibbs and knowing how it went this year. Unless Burks' shoulder is really more hurt than they're letting on, and because he never actually gets minutes, they don't have to list him on the injury report, which would be funny. But I don't see it. I don't see it going beyond 7. Honestly, maybe if we're up 25 and they could spell a couple more minutes, but I don't. Barring that or garbage time, I don't see it going beyond 7 at all. Eugenio, Joe, BK fam, love it. Burks is our Tobias Harris with the next contract. Keep him on the bench. Thank God we only have Burks for half a season, and we didn't have to pay him $40 million. Rodney, how do we feel about OG's defense on Siakam? I mentioned it a little bit before you got here, Rodney. Shout out to you. I think OG did a decent job. I know I saw it posted online that like the matchup was that he was covering Siakam, and Siakam went 5 of 7 from the field against him. But OG also ended the game with 2 steals, as we all saw. He had a deflection. I think he did a good job overall. Siakam and him have almost the same exact size and wingspan, and because Siakam has played him in practice for 5 years, all of the things that OG is great at for people that aren't used to having him cover them all the time isn't as noticeable, you know, or not going to bother Siakam as much, basically. But if Siakam only took 7 shots and OG covered him for like 20 minutes in the game, that's honestly solid. The dude didn't score 20 points. Did he shoot effectively? Yes. This dude didn't score 20. He ended up with 19, 6, and 5. And they lost. And Siakam was a negative -4. And OG ended up with 13 points, plus and a plus 12 with 9, 4, and 2 steals. I'm taking that. Do I think Siakam is going to go 5 of 7 from him every game? What is that? 70%, 67%? No, I don't see that. Do I think he's only going to take 7 shots? Also, no. He'll probably score more throughout the way this game going. I think what's going to happen throughout this series is that the Pacers are going to end up going 8 deep as well at some point. I mean, Isaiah Jackson had a great 13-minute showing, going 4 of 6 from the field. 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 blocks in 13 minutes is really good, especially as a backup 4 or 5. That them playing Isaiah Jackson and not Jalen Smith is honestly insane to me. I would have not thought that going into the series. That's how it's going to be. But I think OG is going to do well. And I think Precious being switched on him is going to do well. On Siakam is going to do well. And I think OG can bother Turner on the outside, and Siakam and Precious can bother Siakam on the inside when they get switched up, the 4-5 matchups on each other. When we're playing Precious way more. I do truly believe that Tibbs is going to, like, Mitch's injury is going to hurt a lot, knock on wood, if and or when we play Boston. Obviously, like, KP should be back by then. Horford's a big, actual 6'11" guy. Luke Cornett, who is their backup, is 7'2". That dude's giant. Like, Precious Achiuwa being 6'8" will suck for that series if we get that far. Precious Achiuwa being 6'8" in this, I'm not that concerned. I think it's actually going to work out better than us playing Mitch and iHeart the most and not giving Precious enough time. Straight up. Vin with Vin Dot. If we make Eastern Conference Finals with no Randle and no Mitch and no Bojan, that's a huge successful season. Facts. 100% agree. I couldn't say it better than myself. Shout out to everyone watching and listening, by the way. We got 270 on Twitter, 23 on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We have a couple new shirts that we just released in the past couple days. Then do you want to talk to them more about the shirts? I want you to talk about Not Like Us, because I really just want to hear you. You're the biggest Drake stan I know, and I wish I can give you 90 seconds and you would take it, but I'm not going to ask you to do that. But can you talk about the other Brunson shirt you made?
The Not Like Us shirt, actually, I'll speak on it. Kendrick Lamar's song just reminded me of Knicks fans during the playoffs, man. Because they're not like us, man. Like, even with just the absence of Pacers Twitter, like, Philly gave us a good fight on Twitter, but it just doesn't exist. Hey, Vinny. Hey, Vinda.
I feel like, dude, you're right. I feel like the Pacers' existence is just few and far between online, or they just haven't broken through. There's way more Sixers fans, obviously.
Yo, I love the subplot of, like, the teams playing each other and the fans also fighting each other. Like, it was just, I don't know. It's a good subplot. We need Pacers fans, if you're out there, please engage. We want this. We want the fight.
Henry goes, I'm hoping they find it, man. I have all the tags in. I got a bunch of indie stuff, Halliburton, Carlisle, Turner. I'm hoping they find it, Not just us. Knicks Film School, KFTV, like, I know I'm on Threads more than Twitter. I've seen like 2 Pacers fans on there total. When we were playing the Sixers, I had like 15 to 20 that would be trolling our comments. It's just, Ralph says it best, man. Northeast fandom, there's like no other. New York, Philly, and Boston. It's just, I think LA and Chicago are the only 2 parts of America that actually compete in any way. And LA is really a fair weather fandom. So it's like us in Chicago. I don't know. It's just, Indy is middle America. There's just less people that live out there that have less fans. It is what it is. I hope they do find us for some good banter. It's always fun to try to shit talk one another as a fan base, but Henry goes, Turner is killing us on that pick and roll. If Dante didn't draw the foul, which did take a little bit of acting, I'm not going to lie, Turner would have scored in that Pacers possession, which, I think playing Precious more is going to help because iHeart and Mitch are both slower on rotations. They're just bigger dudes, and that's okay. Like, their length has been able to make up and block guys. Like, the iHeart block on Maxey last series isn't because of speed, it's because of size. Like, but Turner is big and faster than both of them. I think Precious being in there is going to help a lot. I still think with Jalen Brunson, we would have won the game, even if they went up 1 and they didn't call that foul. Straight up. I truly believe that. I think this man, I haven't even said his stats yet. I know it's been said 100 times. He's the first guy since Michael Jordan to score 40 in 4 straight games, joining Jerry West and what was the other name? I forgot. Bernard King. How can I forget Bernard King? Duh. He's the second guy in history with Oscar Robertson to score 35 and 5 in 4 straight games, or 5 straight games, or whatever it is. This guy's incredible. I can't believe we all lucked into Jalen Brunson. Straight up. It was luck. Leon Rose, they didn't expect this. There's no way. There's no way anyone expected this. Leon Rose, Worldwide West. Rick Brunson didn't expect this from Jalen Brunson. For the fifth game in a row, he's over 39 or 39 plus. He scored 43 points on over 50% shooting. He was a perfect 14 of 14 from the free throw line. The game after a series in which I feel like we watched Jalen Brunson miss at least 2 free throws in every single fourth quarter, win or lose. A perfect 14 of 14 from the line. 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 turnovers, which 6-4, not a great ratio at all, obviously, but the guy has the ball in his hands. He has the highest usage rate in the NBA right now and plays like the 4th or 5th most minutes. And I think he's the highest usage rate per minute guy right now. Past Luka and Jokic. Like, wow, this guy has the ball in his hands all the time. And a block. And a game high tie with OG Anunoby plus 12. I really can't believe it. Like, I just don't even have the words to describe what we're watching. I've believed, and I do partly believe still, like, all of the crap that Becky Hammond said, that Candace Parker said, that hundreds of other people said. You can't win, or the odds are astronomically low, because I know people bring up Steph and Isaiah Thomas, which Isaiah Thomas was actually Brunson size, basically. A little thinner, stronger. Like a little, not stronger, but like better muscle per weight rate, whatever, muscle mass. And Steph is 6'3", not 6'1". But this guy can't be stopped. Just straight up. And usually small guys, like, they get hounded. They can get out knocked with their spot. Steph is skinnier than Brunson. Like, not the good Isaiah Thomas that won the 2 titles with Detroit. The small Isaiah Thomas that led the league, or was like one of the top 4 in scoring in Boston like 5 years ago that just signed with the Suns. That Isaiah Thomas, like, when you're that small and you're offensive, like a shooting offensive centric player, you can get knocked off where you want to be. You can get stuck. It's a little harder for you to get around bigger screens. And then when they're trapping and trying to ice the screen on you, when you're a smaller guy, you can get game planned against. Jalen Brunson is stocky. Jalen Brunson is so strong and so like thick shoulders, thick back. Like, this dude doesn't get knocked off his spot. If the guy is 6'1" covering him, if the guy is Kelly Oubre, Tobias Harris, Nick Batum 6'8" covering him, he creates space. He hits the mid range. He has 35 hesitations in like 5 seconds, and he drops 40 on your head over and over and over again. And they signed him for less than $25 million. $26 million? I mean, he's going to end up getting the Supermax once he's extension eligible. Is that this year, next year? I know he said he would take a discount, which if he does, that's effing awesome. That would be amazing. And if Julius Randle actually stays with the Knicks now, comes back, he came back to the CAA Mafia, if he's willing to take a discount, that's also amazing. Like, this team actually has a superstar and a championship window. And I cannot believe that I believe that. I am flabbergasted. I'm even saying this right now. Like, it feels so amazing to believe that. To watch this dude just drop 40 on your head, and you know it's coming. And you know he has the ball in his hand. And you cannot stop him. And he plays with his 2 best friends. This is the most biggest bullcrap, fake Disney real-life thing I've ever witnessed in my life. And it's on my favorite team. This is insane. Absolutely insane. Dante DiVincenzo, 25 points, 10 for 17, 5 for 9 from 3, the game-winning three-pointer. Second game-winning three-pointer is made in the series. Josh Hart, is averaging over 12 rebounds a game. He's averaging the second most rebounds in the playoff history for a guy 6'4" and under. They showed that on the telecast 2 nights ago. The second most in history from a guy under 6'5". OG Anunoby, who I believe is the best like overall defender when it comes to like versatility, covering 1 through 5. If someone wants to argue Jaden McDaniels, Herb Jones, Bam Adebayo, Anthony Davis, whatever, OG's my favorite player. He's on my favorite team. Argue with yourself. I'm going to homer this. The guy just puts up 13, 9, and 4. Like it's nothing. Has the game high plus 12. Always gets at least 2 stocks a game, whether it's a steal, a block, 2 of each or more. Generally more, but at least 2 every game. And our bigs are awesome. We have bigs that cover Joel Embiid, made him complain, cry, cheat, literally got one of them hurt. We don't use our bench, but our bench depth is good. Miles McBride and Precious Achiuwa being available now. Miles McBride had 2 McBride games in the first round. We know they're coming. I think what's going to happen tonight, straight up. 10 minutes, 0 points. That's not happening 2 games in a row. No shot. Deuce McBride's over-under right now. I'm pretty sure it's 5.5 for points. I'm hitting that over tonight. I'm letting you know now. He's banging 2 threes. TJ McConnell's not doing what he did 2 games in a row against this guy. He's too good of a competitor. He's too much of a dog. He's too much of a former football player. He's gonna beat him up. He's gonna eat that dude. It's not gonna happen every game, but McBride and McConnell are gonna have a great series overall. And I mean, we have a team of Tibbs guys, and it's unbelievable that this guy, this coach that I've crapped on a million times over, that thousands of Knicks fans and thousands of Timberwolves fans and thousands of Bulls fans have crapped on over and over. And literally for the first time in his career, maybe the first, not the first time. I mean, he had Joakim Noah, Taj Gibson, Derrick Rose, Luol Deng. He had Tibbs guys, but he lost against LeBron and the Heatles. Like, what are you going to do? But for the second time in his career and the first time in over a decade, he has a team of Tibbs guys. And there is no all-star superstar, one of the best 5 players of all time, LeBron James in his prime in the East. Most of the best players are out west. Is Anthony Edwards the best player now? It's getting close. At this point, he's going to get there by the time he's 25, so that's scary. Wemby's coming. He's out west. Jokic, but it's Jokic, Luka, SGA. Like, we have Giannis and Embiid, who can't even stay healthy all the time. But the East is for the taking, man. I can't believe I believe that either. I said the whole year, Nuggets, Celtics. I'm going to still pick the Celtics in a 7-game series, but the fact that I even think it's probably going to go 7, it's just, it's basically all because of Jalen Brunson. And how amazing is it to believe that? It's incredible. It's truly, truly incredible. Just Nick salute, greatest Nick of all time, Jalen Brunson. Not there yet, but I mean, dude, he's on his way. And it's tough to even because the best Nick of all time, Clyde Frazier, is in the game building for all these games. So if you want to say the best Nick of the last 30 years, 20 years since Prime Ewing, I think he's better than Melo already. I know that's hard. I know Melo stands are going to hate to hear that, but just the way this dude carries the team in the playoffs. If we're just going to drop both their Knicks tenures, no, Melo has a better Knick tenure career so far. But I think Brunson's peak is already higher than Melo's peak was. And that's amazing. That's amazing to think. D Buckets goes, how about OG on McConnell since he was killing us? Their bench played great. Curious to see if they have the same performance. So about the McConnell, Toppin, Shepard, Jackson. Shepard and Jackson more so than McConnell and Toppin. They would have combined 16 points on 7 of 11 shooting. You can't, I'm not expecting them to do that multiple times in a row, especially on the road in MSG. Shepard and Jackson had 2 of their better games in the playoffs at the same exact time. I do think Toppin is going to basically play out better, play out pretty good in MSG. He might play better on the road than at home this series, honestly. He's back home. He's back playing against his former team in the playoffs. He's getting more minutes now than he did when he played here in the playoffs last year. I guarantee you both Obi Toppin and Julius Randle in their heart of hearts wish Randle was available to really be going at it at least a little bit. They're professional NBA players. They're competitors. I'm sure Randle felt like Toppin was breathing on his shoulder because of the fans, and I'm sure Toppin felt feels that Randle held him back for being such a good power forward directly ahead of him, and that Tibbs wouldn't play them together, even though we literally watch Carlisle play Toppin and Siakam together all the time. So I'm sure there's some resentment there, and I'm sure Toppin's going to always show up better in MSG than the Fieldhouse this series. But for McConnell specifically, I think McConnell's going to be pretty good overall this series. And it's not only that I think McConnell is like good, because I mean, he's like one of the better 6th or 7th guys in the league. He's not starting point guard level most of the time. He can have like starting point guard performances. If you give him a couple hundred games, he probably has like 5 or 6 like all-star point guard level performances, but he's just a steady presence that knows his game. The guy's been shooting over 50% from 3 since January 1st. He doesn't take 1 a game. He literally only takes open corner 3s. He's never going to pull up. He's never going to be at the wing. Never going to be at the top of the key. He knows his game. He gets inside the paint. He creates for his teammates. He stops at the elbow. He's like a homeless Jalen Brunson when it comes to his offensive game. And there's a use to that. He's 32 years old. He's been in the league 9 years. Been in the playoffs multiple times. He knows what to do. It's just not. I think, and I said this before you probably got here, D-Buckets, that I'm worried about, like, I said that TJ McConnell is going to help Deuce McBride elevate his game long term in this series, because I think there's going to be a lot of times that McConnell torches him, and I think there's going to be some adjustments, and then McBride's going to get the better of him a couple of these games, or at least a couple plays. And I think it's because of experience and tenacity going against each other, head to head. I do think that if McConnell does keep playing the way he is, and he is a known Nick Keller, he might have to close over Halliburton a couple times. Like, if Halliburton's going to play like he did game 1, I really think part of the Pacers losing was them closing with Hallie. I do. And by the way, for anyone that ever said Halliburton over Brunson, I would never say that in my goddamn life about Jalen Brunson, and I love Deuce McBride. So if you think that the backup should close over the starter, and you were arguing, is this starter better than this starter, and the one starter is the best clutch performer in the playoffs, and the other one doesn't deserve to be playing in the clutch, I think he answered your question. D-Buckets also goes, I would give Burke some burn. If he's playing bad, take him out. He's capable of getting hot, and it would be giving us some much-needed bench scoring and Brunson some rest. I was saying this a little bit earlier too. I do truly believe we're going to only go 7 deep, and if there was an 8th, it's Sims, not Burks or Shake, and it'd be because of foul trouble to both iHeart and Precious. I think so. Deuce McBride only got 10 minutes last game, and Precious Achiuwa only got 4 minutes last game. And if you add Mitch and Precious together, Mitch got 11, so it's only 25 bench minutes total. And then every starter that wasn't iHeart played 42 or more. So they played 25 total. If you make them play 25 each, McBride and Precious, and you take off 5 extra minutes from every player, you would be down to 38 for Brunson, 38 for Devo, 43 for Hart, 37 for OG, and 31 for iHeart. And that would just be by having McBride and Achiuwa playing 25 each. So with the 7-man rotation, you can make every single player play less than 40 and more than 24. And I think that's what if the Knicks are doing well and both McBride and Achiuwa are doing well and what they should be doing off the bench ideally, I think that's what we're rolling with. We're going 7 deep. In the best case scenario, only Josh Hart plays over 40 minutes. In a good case scenario, only Josh Hart, like maybe no one plays more than 42 minutes. Hart, I really feel like doesn't even count at this point. The guy's just going to play everything. And then, and everyone can stay between 40 and 25. Ralph goes, Brunson's the best scorer since Bernard. Callie, a.k.a. Fish. I like your name. Very confusing. Callie, if you can't answer the next question, where does your name come from, or what does it mean? Robinson's out, so that's going to be a problem for us moving forward, especially since we're undersized. Precious is a liability on offense. The cool Precious is a liability on offense when he's playing the 4. If Precious is playing small ball 5 and he's just a rim runner, and he actually can put the ball on the floor a little bit, not a lot. Not going to have him dribble the ball up the court by any means, but he can dribble a little bit. I'm more worried about Precious trying to put his back to the basket and then ended up traveling somehow, whether it's they pull the table out from under him or he tries to do a hop step and takes an extra step. But As a 5, I don't think he's a liability offensively that much. He's a good rim runner. He knows when to cut. He sets hard screens. He can't shoot threes, really. He definitely can't shoot threes as a 4. But if your 5 shoots 30% from 3, that kind of keeps the defense a little honest. You know he'll be wide open. So I'm not that worried about it. I don't know if you heard me before, but I think this is actually going to help the Knicks for this series. And next series, it's going to be, like, if, assuming, knock on wood, we play the Celtics and actually get there. That's when it's going to be hard. Callie, short for Calvin, and Fish is the last name and nickname. I feel like anyone I've ever met named Fish definitely ends up going by Fish one way or another, so that checks out. K Miles, the new look Knicks may have to use Jericho Sims at the center position. I just addressed that. We'll see. Again, we will see. I think I might have to do more so with Henry. I want to get to this afterwards. I do think it has to do more with foul trouble for Sims than anything else, but we will see. Iceman Sham. I want to say Man's Ham. I know it's Man Sham, but I want to say Man's Ham. Hartenstein is a great ball mover, but I think Precious is crucial for us to keep up with the speed of the Pacers and slow them down. Exactly. I mean, let's put it this way. This past game 1, and we played at a Pacers pace up until the last 5 minutes, which if you're going to switch to the Knicks pace and go clutch Brunson, it's good to turn it on in the last 5 minutes. But for most of the game, we played at the Pacers pace. Hartenstein played 36, and then Mitch plus Precious played 15. I do think Hartenstein is going to be closer to 31 or 30, and Precious is going to be closer to 18 to 20. Ideally. I'm assuming, and I think the fourth quarters might be really deciding when we pick it up or slow it down and who ends up closing. I think iHeart would end up closing because if we can control the pace at the end of the game, it's better to have iHeart, who's bigger and a better rebounder, but I think a lot of the second and third quarter might be Precious with a lot of that pace out there. Henry goes, do we think this is Mitchell's final year as a Knick? Vin, if you can, I also want you to answer this question because, again, you're the Mitch stan. So do you think we saw Mitchell Robinson play his last game?
Well, let me ask you a question, Joe. Is his contract up this year? I'm not sure about that.
No, he has 2 more years left. It's a decelerating contract. It's very tradable. This year he makes $14 million. Next year he makes $13 million. Next year he makes $12.8.
Yeah, I unfortunately think that the injuries just deemed him like we can't. He's just unreliable in that aspect that he can't stay healthy. And like you say all the time, what's the best ability, Joe?
Availability.
I think it's written, man.
Dude, I know. I don't have a love-hate relationship with Mitch. I love him. I just always thought that a guy that's injury-prone and that likely to miss important free throws is always a tradable guy. It's also why, I was always amazed that people would say Mitch is a top 10 center. And Mitch is a top 10 defensive center. He's a top 2 rebounding center. I mean, shout out Steven Adams, who hasn't played forever. But he's been number 1 for the past 2 years because the guy can't play. But offense matters and shooting matters. I want Mitch to stay on the team, because Michael Scotto reported that iHeart might be looking at around 13 to 14 mil in the open market, which I think is a great deal because that would help out a lot if the Knicks could actually keep both of them and rationalize keeping both of them at the price they're at. But earlier on, when I thought iHeart could actually get more than his max, which this just goes to the show how the NBA devalues centers and the NFL devalues running backs. That if you're not one of the top guys, that you're underpaid for what you're doing. Because iHeart getting $18 million doesn't sound like that crazy to be priced out from the Knicks having the early bird rights. But if he's only estimated to get 14 mil, then you can keep iHeart and Mitch. But if they want to make a move.
My offseason prediction, what I think happens.
Yeah, with our center position?
Yeah, center. And I think, crucify me if you want, clip this if you want. Come back to me next year if it's true. I think Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, and a bunch of picks, and we get Joel Embiid. See ya!
You're a wild individual. Also, I don't think a single Knick fan wants Joel Embiid after what we had to witness. Vin, come back real quick.
No, let me tell you.
Ask you a separate question to what you just said.
Wait.
Would you want Embiid FC to join Knicks Twitter?
We would be an unstoppable powerhouse.
Until he gets hurt?
Listen, I'd rather have a hurt Embiid.
You just shrugged and no one saw you.
I'd rather have a hurt Embiid with Hartenstein backing him up than a hurt Mitchell Robinson with Isaiah Hartenstein backing him up. You feel me?
I get it. We're not trading for Embiid, but I'm not even saying we're not trading for Embiid because I don't want it to happen. I don't really want it to happen, but it's not the. I don't know. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to think about Joel Embiid on the Knicks. I never want to have to interact with a Embiid FC 17-year-old Twitter a-hole again in my whole life. They literally doxed me. I'd never want to have to deal with that. DJ, what up, man? How's it going? Peace, fellas. What are the odds? Tips looking at Sims this series, even if it's for a few minutes here and there. It's been the topic of conversation for a lot of this. I do think we're only going to go 7, and I think Sims only will get in if there is foul trouble or another injury to iHeart or Achiuwa. Callie goes, now what I don't like and really bothers me is in the last minute of the game, you have 2 to 3 short players. Why not go with size in those defensive moments? Hart plays bigger than his size, and OG also. I mean, OG is not one of the short guys you're talking about, but I think they like DiVincenzo being able to jump passing lanes and stuff. And Deuce McBride is short, but he's a defensive dog. Like, they are doing offensive defensive switches with Brunson and Deuce, but even for the Pacers, man, like Naismith is 6'6", Nembhard is 6'4", and Halliburton's 6'4", so it's like 6'5", so you put Deuce on Nembhard, it's the shortest guy, you get to cover him. You have Devo cover Halliburton, and for what it's worth, Devo's been done a decent job. Devo did great against Maxey the last game of that series. Not the second to last game. Maxey went off, but like we're only giving up an inch or two for a lot of these positions. When it's Miles Turner and iHeart, we have the size advantage there. When it's Siakam and OG, they're literally within a half inch of each other. OG is a half inch shorter than Siakam, but they're almost the same exact size. Naismith, who is not an offensive guy at all, literally just out, like he's been shooting like below 40% from the field and below 30% from 3 in the playoffs. Hart, if Hart's covering him, he kind of can roam a little bit, which then becomes another like free safety situation. Devo's been doing great when he's not jumping passing lanes, and is Deuce giving up inches on whether he's covering Halliburton or Nembhard in closing situations? Yeah, but Nembhard can't even really put the ball on the ground that much. I'm not expecting. I mean, he can a little. He's not bad at it, but I'm not expecting him to like torch Deuce and then make a pull-up jumper in his eye because he has a 3-inch height advantage. And it's like, who else will we be playing? We're not going to like. I think if we all learned anything from the first Knicks Tibbs playoff run, it's that you don't put Frank Ntilikina on Trae Young when he hasn't played in 2 games, or he hasn't really played in a month and a half. You're not going to randomly throw this guy out there because he's a defensive stopper just to immediately fall for a foul because you haven't played in so long. So as long as like we do the Brunson Deuce switch, and then based on the scenario, maybe you have Precious or over iHeart or whatever, but I don't think they've been doing too bad in the closing defensive moments. Iceman Sham, Precious matches up better with the Pacers anyway compared to Mitch. Yeah, I've been saying that. I agree too. Henry goes, I don't like any big man having foot problems, which I'm pretty sure you were saying this about Mitch, but also to Embiid. Either guy. I don't want. Embiid's on the wrong side of 30 now, and Mitch has been having foot problems since he came out of college, really. Like ankle, feet, leg. I don't know. I want Mitch to be available for 65 games in a full postseason once in his Knick career. Just once. And I'm not saying that like he didn't do it, so let's get rid of him. I hope it's next year. I really do. I want to, like, the guy has been here since we sucked. He's the last guy since the Knicks sucked. And he deserves the success here. He deserves to be on the court with success here. Callie goes, keep Julius if only if he's in the mindset that's Brunson's team. If not, he has to go. I think if January showed us anything for the brief stint we had, and just in general, I'm pretty sure Julius knows this is Jalen Brunson's team at this point. And I agree. I mean, if he doesn't figure it out, then he'll be shipped out anyway. But anyone that comes here, like OG Anunoby, remember, we traded for OG. And then this guy wanted like a bigger role, a bigger offensive role. He scored less points here than he has in Toronto, has played significantly better defense, and has like the best plus minus on the team since in the games he's played. I think it's clear to everyone that comes here it's Brunson's team. And the team operates best when Brunson has the ball in his hands the most of the time. So I can't imagine why Julius Randle, when he comes back next year, would not think that. Hell no, we do not want bum-ass Embiid. Facts. I would love to have Embiid together with Brunson. Facts. between Hartenstein and Precious, we should be able to handle the Pacers during Mitch accents. Go Knicks from Rick. Go New York, go. Rick, I agree. Agree entirely. Knicks Cave, shout out to you. I see you on everything. Let's go. We got to play 4-quarter defense all game. It's annoying we go back and forth just to make stops late. We got to play more guys. I don't think they're going to go beyond 7. I don't know if you just came here or not, but there is a way that you play both McBride and Achiuwa 25 minutes and actually takes 5 minutes away from everyone in starting. So let's say both McBride and Achiuwa play 25. Brunson would go from 43 to 38. Same with Devo. Hart would go down to 43 from a full game. OG would go to 37 from 42. And iHart would go to 30 or 31 instead of 36. And I think that's a way to get guys rested without actually going deeper in your bench. I don't think we're going to see Burks or Shake at all. And I think Sims is only if we have foul trouble. Shout out to the 390 that are watching right now. We have 32 on YouTube, 358 on Twitter. Thanks for joining us on your drive home, or if you're about to leave work, any of that good stuff. I'm about to get off in a little bit. We're about to hit an hour. Make sure you check out our merch. Vince made a couple new shirts, bignickenergy.com. Let's go Knicks tonight. Let's definitely beat these Pacers. I think I want to go Knicks will be 2024 champs. Mitch was the second round pick the Knicks received when they traded Melo. Yes, he was. And what draft was that? 2019, right? 2018, right? How long has he been in the league now for? Bio 2018, the 6th pick of the 2018 second round. The last of the Melo trade is the last guy here from before the Knicks were good and fun to watch. And if and or when he leaves, I'm not assuming Mitch is going to retire or Nick. I don't think Mitch Robinson is going to be a Nick for 15 years of his career. But if and or when he leaves, it will be sad. Travel goes, Julius knows the deal. Now, for the game tonight, real quick, I'll just do a couple minutes about what I think might happen differently from the first game. The first game ended up 121 to 117. The Knicks were losing most of the game, which cardiac Knicks, they've just been making this a thing now for some reason. I mean, they've been making a thing most of my life, I feel like, when they're actually decent, but they have a major proponent of waiting until the fourth quarter to decide to take the lead. Rely on, I'm not going to say the league is rigged in any way. I do not believe that, but they have had a couple games with calls go their way in Madison Square Garden. They also had a game where the calls went against their way in Madison Square Garden, but if you bring it up to a Pacers or a Sixers fan, they pretend Game 5 of last series just did not happen. He didn't travel. They didn't lie. They didn't foul. Oh, like whatever. But the last game was 121-117. This game, the over-under, because of how much last game was, it's either 218.5 or 219.5, depending on where you look. Last game, the total score was 238. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. 218 is a big drop. I think this is played more at the Knicks' pace. It actually wouldn't surprise me if this game was played more at the Knicks' pace and the Pacers ended up pulling it out, which would be kind of funny how both the first two games went. I think the Knicks should take it tonight, though. I think it'll be another close game. If you can get Pacers plus 5.5, I would take that. If it's 4.5, I would stay away. If I was to really pick what I think the final score would be, I actually think it's going to be 111-106 Knicks. That's slightly slower paced. I don't think we're going to get another 39-point fourth quarter. I would suspect Tyrese Halliburton to show up one way or another. This dude scores 6 points again and has an 8-3 assist to turnover ratio. And one of the worst plus minuses on his team. Like, there's no shot that Carlisle would choose to close with him over McConnell 2 games in a row. I think Carlisle is just too experienced of a coach to really just go down with the ship for no reason to go down 0-2 when a game is. They could have won game 1, and we stole it from them. But when you win on the road in a playoff series, it's stealing a game. You stole home court, but we stole it back literally within one game. I don't think Carlisle is going to be in a close game, and then if that's happening, let it go by the wayside again. 7 snapped, bless BKE, Knicks fam. What are the odds Jacob Toppin gets playing time this series, especially because I would say 0% chance. So Jacob Toppin will play if the Knicks are up or down 25 with a minute left in garbage time. I don't think there's a shot we see Jacob Toppin. Jacob Toppin, Diakite, I don't know how to pronounce his first name, Charlie Brown Jr., Dwayne Washington, literally might as well not even be here. They're there for practice. They're there for scout team. They're not there to get minutes. for better or for worse. I think Jacob Toppin actually might get minutes, might be able to join the end of the rotation next year, based on the limited time we've seen him this year. I hope he does. I mean, it'd be cool. Callie, one last time. I was DMing Knicks players telling them to Karate Kid sweep the leg on Embiid after pulling on Mitch. I don't like him. Like Ginger on Casino. That's mad funny. Then, I gotta say, Callie probably shares the same thing as most fans do. I don't think we want Joel Embiid. I don't want Joel Embiid, and I sure as hell don't want Joel Embiid FC from Twitter or anything else as a part of this fan base. Knicks Twitter and Knicks social media already antagonizes and cannibalizes itself enough. We don't need to add a insanely good, but albeit injury-prone and playoff-choking players' stand-em to our fandom. Knicks 2024 champs. In order for the Knicks to keep it at a slower pace, they have to limit their turnovers and get rebounds. They actually and also they need one or two guys to run back even on makes. The reason why the Pacers have the fastest pace, the Wizards have the fastest pace, but we'll pretend they don't exist. The reason why the Pacers have the second fastest pace in the league is because they run on makes, which most teams don't do, obviously. They want to set up their offense and get the ball in their best players. Tyrese likes to run. Everyone on their team likes to run. Even Miles Turner is good at running for a big. So I think even on made baskets, they just need two guys to run back every time. And I think we'll be good. I think we can control the pace a little bit more. I am expecting another cardiac affair. Vin, before we sign off, do you want to give a prediction? Did you fall asleep? I think Vin literally fell asleep on me. 7 snaps. Oh, you're awake. All right, cool. I'm good on beat, and it's been a few years already. Vin, you're about to go after this last comment. Iceman Sham. Do you all think the fatigue of our players can be a factor later in the series, especially since Indiana goes beat deeper in their bench? We will find out by game 5 because that's the only time there's a 2-day break. So assuming the Knicks don't sweep, we will definitely find out after that 2-day break. Vin, what is your prediction for tonight?
15-point win. We're gonna have a little blowout of a win tonight.
Ooh, I hope so. It would help. It would help all of us breathe a little easier.
I'm looking like 105 to 90 range, around there.
Oh, we're really dominating the pace then.
Yes, that's what we're doing tonight.
I love that. How many points for Halliburton? Does he score more or less than 15?
Hallie's going to go off for a nice 20, 25.
But we limit his assists then, and they take him out of their game plan.
Yes.
Okay.
Hallie's making buckets tonight because I need him to.
Hallie makes buckets. The rest of the Pacers don't. We win 105 to 90, according to Vin. I like
Miles
it.
Turner's going to have a big game too.
Miles Turner 2+3s. I said this in the thread I'm in. I'm taking that every game until it doesn't hit, by the way. Actually, I lied. I'm not taking it tonight because Precious Achiuwa is playing now Mitchell Robinson. Callie goes, but they'd only play if iHeart doesn't get into foul trouble. That's only if they don't get into foul trouble. All right. And on that note, we are going to get out of here. Then you can start ending all the streams after I say let's go Knicks and Knicks in 6. Are we going to do Knicks in 6? No, we're going to change it. Knicks in 5, baby.
Knicks in 4? What is all this shit? Knicks in 4 till it's Knicks in 5.
I never assume a sweep's going to happen, and I try to pretend to be an intelligent person even if I'm a fan at heart.
Knicks in 3.
Knicks in 3. You heard it here first. Indy, where you at? Y'all don't even exist. Cornfields, MFA. F you, Mark Jackson. F you, Reggie Miller, for real, though. Let's go Knicks.